Let's go. We're back. So we finally got our trailer set up at our summer spot, and it got me thinking that I haven't really told you guys how we actually live and why we're setting up a trailer for the summer, especially because it's not just weekend camping. So now that we're back in the trailer, we had a really good time at my aunt and uncle's, actually, and but now we're back in our own space. We're set up after some, I was gonna say minor trouble, but it wasn't minor trouble. Our hot water tank has apparently been leaking since we purchased the trailer almost 3 years ago because of poor manufacturing choices. But anyway, so we are back. We are set up in Penhold, Alberta, which is like literally down the road from Red Deer. And Red Deer, if you don't know Alberta, is about maybe an hour and a half from Calgary, which is sort of the closest big main city to where we are. To be fair, Red Deer has like every amenity you could pretty much think of, so it's not like we're near a small city, but it's not necessarily a place that everybody knows about, especially if you're not from Alberta. If you're from Alberta, you probably know Red Deer, but anywho. So I figured I would take some time today to make this video, and again, I tried a different intro. I hope it works, because I had to actually start filming it before we left my aunt's. So fingers crossed. I hope you saw a fun intro, a fun try, testing new skills, seeing if I'm able to edit. But anyhow, so I figured though that I'd sit down today and explain to you, or give you a little insight as to why I'm in a trailer. So my spouse is a pilot, and he's not, well, he's technically, I guess, a commercial pilot by license, but he doesn't fly people. He flies for an atmospheric research company. So in the summer, we stay at Penhold, but in the winter, we likely are in the States, and we could be at different bases in the States. So just about 3 years ago, like this fall, it will be 3 years that we've been in our travel trailer. Sorry if you can hear the cat. He's on his little scratchy thing that we've decided to test on the table so that he could sit and look out the window. He may walk in front of me at any moment, so you may get to see the cat. So when we were initially presented with the opportunity, or him, I just happened to be very lucky to love him and get to exist with him like this in life. But when it happened, we had a very big task of trying to figure out how the heck we were going to live in two places. Not even live two places, because obviously we're not like living in the States. We're gone 5 to 6 months. But it became really clear to us that sort of rentals were very expensive, especially for pet friendly. What they considered a kitchen was a toaster oven. And last time I checked, oh, there he is. Last time I checked, you can't do everything with just a toaster oven. So while I'm sure we would have gotten by, I don't think that it was necessarily the best option, especially because in these situations, you're also looking for furnished, because if you aren't, then you're trying to keep and store and have 2 sets of everything, which was not exactly something that we were interested in. We also weren't interested in the thought of like purchasing property in the States, because we could be stationed in different places. So it doesn't really make all that much sense to purchase in one place, even though we happen to have been in the same place in Idaho the last 3 winters. I don't know what season it is anymore. But so then the other option was then like long-term pet-friendly hotels with kitchenettes, also incredibly expensive. And it wasn't really, we didn't really want to go that route. So that left the only other option being travel trailers. And at the time, neither of us had a truck. I have camped my whole life, but I didn't ever do any of the maintenance. I didn't know anything about towing. I didn't know anything about, weight. I didn't know a whole lot. So, luckily, my spouse was able to, and we were both working, like, I was working full-time, everything, in optometry, actually, but he was able to make it so that we had a truck. We have literally this trailer, which was brand new. It's actually a 2021, but we got it in 2022, I guess. I don't know. The years are blurry to me. But either way, we got it brand new. It had just been sat on the lot, and it was what we were looking for. It had a nice big slide, because we knew that we wanted space to be able to actually move around each other. And it didn't have bunks, because for us that seemed a lot like just space that we'd fill with junk that we likely didn't need. And it has, there's big windows. It's got a really, really big pantry, actually, which we love food, so having pantry is a good thing. What you learn later after living in a trailer is that what something might appear to be as storage may actually serve that purpose, like a pantry, but we have since added extra storage. We keep shoes at the very bottom. We keep some of the appliances. Like, you learn to organize in a completely different way. So this trailer is actually 226 square feet. When we moved into the trailer, we were living in 1,100 square feet basement suite. We realized there was like a lot a lot of stuff that we probably weren't going to be able to fit, but also then we went through an entire purge. We went through everything we owned. We were able, luckily, to obviously sell the big stuff. The trailer came with a bed. We took our mattress, but it came with a bed, so we sold our bed frame. And we didn't need a couch because there's a couch here. So there was big things that we knew that we could sell to someone and be totally fine. Then there was the case, and actually the worst things for us were sports equipment and kitchen stuff. It's a little sad for us to, we get into our kitchen and we're like, holy bananas, we have 30 coffee mugs. Not travel ones, like full on, like sit in your living room and have a cup of coffee mugs. So we clearly did not need 30 of them. We also had like 18 bowls, like cereal soup bowls. So I think initially we ended up getting down to like 10 mugs, and we knew that with plates and like forks and like all the sort of eating stuff, that we wanted to just be like 4 place settings, because realistically, if we're gonna have people, like if we're gonna entertain people, and this is less wasteful in Canada because we can recycle a lot more, but we would use paper plates, because dirtying every single dish in the kitchen hasn't ever appealed to me. So it's we knew we needed to downsize a lot. We did end up selling quite a bit of stuff, and like anything that we just didn't want to try to sell or we had left getting closer to actually moving into the trailer, we just donated. I think we took like probably like 3 or 4 truckloads to the donation center, which was actually kind of hard for me. I don't know why. I'm not sure what the attachment to the stuff is. I guess because not everybody has it, and not everybody has the opportunity to have all of this stuff. But so it came from a place of being like really grateful for having these things, but at the end of the day, I know that letting go of it not only actually like made us feel like lighter and living a little more simplistic, but I know that it's going on to live, you know, another life with somebody else who might actually be using it. Because let's be honest, who's using 30 mugs? Like, that's 1 a day for a month. You wouldn't even have to do dishes. But anywho, besides the point. But so we got everything downsized, we moved in, and not only has this trailer been, well, it's been a wreck, it's had some troubles. We learned some things about COVID build trailers way after the fact, and we've, if you read my blog, which the link to my blog is actually in my bio on my YouTube channel. So I actually released a blog today because I release them on Sundays. I call it Sunday Fun Day. I probably am not releasing this video on Sunday because editing, but it talks about actually kind of like we recently had a trouble with the water tank, so the hot water tank. So I kind of go into a little bit more details about not trailer living is great, but there's always things breaking. That's as honest as I can be. But just because things are breaking doesn't mean that I'm not incredibly grateful. So, like I said, we've been almost 3 years in this trailer, and it's gone through like insane upgrades. We've changed out the couch space, we've added different organization things, we've put, you know, a hanging rod in the main closet of the bedroom, we've added extra shelves, we've learned that when you're living in such a small space, you have to be incredibly creative, but it's also taught us that we probably don't need as much as we thought we did, or even as much as we had. Even when it comes to clothing, I still think we have a massive amount of clothing, especially for the amount of space that we have for storing clothing, but it's like a third, maybe less. Maybe, yeah, we'll say a third of the amount of clothing that we had when we lived in like physical, like brick and mortar dwellings. So you learn to downsize, but you also, and this was kind of a cool thing to learn, you learn to purchase what you need, or you think about storage if you're going to purchase something that you actually like want. So this winter we got into tennis, and anybody who lives in a normal home is going to say, well, a tennis racket and some balls doesn't take up that much room. But in a trailer, when you have to think about storage, you're like, okay, well, where are we going to keep these things? And it's almost been like, it's been a great awakening, because I don't think we were frivolous spenders before, but we are extra not frivolous now, because we don't necessarily want to have to hold on, kitty. This is one take filming, in case you guys wondered. Mrs. Mr. Kitty. Oh man. Okay. Anywho, so, but we're not frivolous spenders, but we definitely are not now. And it's been a kind of a beautiful awakening to be in a space that you don't have a choice but to think about how you'll keep something. And it's really positive. I can't even explain like the amount of life-changing things that living in such a small space has created. And yes, you may wonder about, you know, being this close to my spouse this much. You have to enjoy time with your spouse. And I'm very lucky that I've always enjoyed and put a high priority on spending a lot of close time with my spouse. So, because we spend like every day together. He's out golfing. He's an avid golfer in the summer. So he's out golfing right now, which gives me time to film. I mean, I could probably film in front of him. It'd be way more laughing because he'd probably think I'm a big old goof, which I am. But he's out golfing, and so, you know, he might be gone 4 hours or so. But there's not a lot of like set alone time, and that's okay because we are happy to live that way. It is not for everyone, but we like it that way. You know, we'll have a bunch of days where we're busy and then we're like, okay, we're ready to just like be home in our space, in our family unit. So I think we're extremely lucky because I don't think that everyone or even a lot of people are like that. But if you at any point are considering this kind of lifestyle and you have a spouse, that's definitely something to consider. You can also set boundaries. You know, I used to be very, very much about alone time, and that alone time was something that recharged me. And I mean, maybe it's just that I, pardon me, have, you know, gotten older since that point in my life. But, you know, I still enjoy my alone time. I still enjoy having time to watch the YouTube that I prefer to watch, or to sit and do things like this. But at the same time, I don't feel like unbalanced when I don't have that time anymore, which I did even when we first moved into the trailer. So it's been and to be fair though, I have had like a massive shift, a massive growth in who I am and how my brain works in the last few years because I've been doing a lot of work on it. So I think this would have been a lot harder of a transition if I hadn't been sort of doing that work. But all in all, I hope this was a little bit of actually like an update on why we live in a trailer, and it kind of opens up a door because now if you see me filming in a trailer, if we're outside the trailer, it's not so like disconnected. Because I feel like up to this point I talk about the trailer and people are like, what in God's name are you talking about? But so hopefully there's no more disconnection, and this gave you a little bit of insight into how we live our life. I probably in the future would like to go a little bit more into the sort of like brain management side of how things have changed, and like the impact on me that actually living in such a small space has had, or, you know, how being closer to nature has made me feel like a lot more aligned with who I am, because being in nature has always just made me feel more like me. I kind of believe that like as humans we are nature. That might be a little woo-woo for some, but I believe it. So I hope that you made it this far into the video, because I know that the start of YouTube can be kind of tough, but I hope you made it in to this point. I really appreciate anybody who watches, and if this goes well, I'm hoping to actually get a mic because I know the sound is a little bit but, you know, phone filming. What can you do? So I'm hoping to invest in a little bit of a mic, like all those professional YouTube folks. And, but you gotta start somewhere. So again, here's me starting. And I'll see you on the next one.